Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio. Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy?
A tale of ink and iron will of voices overblown. From mics and scripts to painted sails, we've traded shore for sea. The players will man the rigging soon. Aye, your hands, follow me. From Long John shadowed silver grin to Jim with compass true. We speak the words, we wear the scars, we make the old world new. No gold without the work behind, no legend without sweat. A stage, a ship, a single breath. The course is not set yet. We play a sail, we play a sail, we play a sail soon. All hands to KLRN Radio, setting sail for Treasure Island, March 2026.
Everyone, this is JJ, the co-founder of GoodPods. If you haven't heard of it yet, GoodPods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On GoodPods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find GoodPods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. All is lost again, but I'm not giving
morning, America. I know it's been a minute, but we're back. Jen, I looked. We haven't done a show since October. Part of that was my fault because, November was when my brother died, and I just kind of didn't do much for most of November and half of December. But I was like, has it really been almost 3 months since we've done a show?
Crazy. Well, I guess because there's been other things, including the players and stuff. It doesn't feel like that, but dang,
Yeah,
it's a long time.
It's been actually a little bit over 3 months. I was like, I'm surprised I haven't been getting nasty messages from iHeart and stuff.
And I started a new job that it randomly takes up time that, yes, even into the evening sometimes. So elections don't have hours other than on the election day. I don't know if people realize that.
Well, I mean, anymore, if you live in a blue state, those hours don't even count.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so it's been interesting, and all the characters that want to work, elections. It's like, I'm so glad you're doing your civic duty. This is wonderful, but also answer the dang question.
Yeah, I love the whole are you ever going to reach out to me? And you're like, have you checked your
Literally, some of these people have gotten 3 phone calls, 2 emails, and they still call my boss and are like, I never heard from anyone about the election. They're like, yes, you have, and we have it all documented. Like, what? Oh, it's a lot. The thing that kind of stinks, it's good, but what kind of ends up happening, particularly with like actual election day, like you get a little more fluctuation with early voting. And for anybody wondering, I'm like working in conjunction with the party in the county on all of this, trying to have fair elections. I'm doing my part to be in there for it. I'm even placing some Democrats that have emailed us mistakenly, and I've said, let me help you. I will get you on. Like, that's okay. We want there to be equal representation at every location. It makes for everything to be much more on the up and up and fair. Even if you don't really believe that there's a lot of fraud going on, it's not always about true, like, nefarious fraud. It's things where it's accountability is what it is. It's just accountability, making sure that norms are held, making sure that rules are followed. And that goes better when there are multiple people to be the counterpoints for that, to be the checkpoints. And when you don't have that, even when it's like you have a site that doesn't, like, say it's in a heavily Republican area or in a heavily Democratic area, you'll get sites that it's not always like menacing. It's like, there's no one there. They haven't done it much before. They're left on their own. And so they just kind of go through it and don't really check all the boxes the right way, which then can lead to issues down the road. It can lead to lawsuits. And it's not always because someone's trying to actually commit fraud. It's because there just weren't enough experienced people, and there weren't enough people holding everybody else, accountable to each other. So, it's just that a lot of the people that volunteer to do these things, and yes, you get paid as a poll worker for that day, but it's not like it's a whole lot. But the people that volunteer to do these things tend to be of the older variety. So when we're communicating with them, I can do phone calls, but we like to do a lot of email follow-up. The county needs an email follow-up to be able to place them officially and have that documented record so we know where everybody is. And it's the people that are a little bit of the older persuasion tend to not respond as well in any kind of text communication, whether it's email or text. And there's like a lot that gets lost in the phrase. So y'all know, like, when you text your mom and you're like, hey mom, we have a couple choices for brunch on Friday. There's these 2 restaurants. This one is open from this time to this time. There's this restaurant open for this time to this time. I know you said Aunt Susie might join, so am I making the reservation for 5 or 6? And mom responds, yeah, Friday's good. And you're like, which location? How many people? Oh, right. Yeah, I think we should do the one by the river. Cool. How many people? They're like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, Susie's coming. So that's the kind of like ongoing thing. And by the way, this is not exclusive to like old people. It's not even exclusive to boomers. I had this happen with like a 22-year-old as well. So they're not immune. Young people are not immune, but it's just that whole thing, like read through the whole thing and answer each question. I have it bullet pointed out for you. So, everybody experiences this, whether you're in an office job, whether you're just communicating with family, whether you do a volunteer org or whatever, but it makes it so much more tedious than it needs to be. And running around that and then trying to thwart the county from screwing us over is always fun. Because government, it's not always nefarious. It's just incompetent and slow and unwilling to change. So isn't that what we all talk about all the time?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we do around here.
Right. So anyways, so yes, part of that has been gearing up towards this primary that's in March. And so we have been, even though like offices close at 5, there's a lot of times where people that want to do this kind of work are not available during the workday because they're doing their job. So then they want to call you at 5:30, at 7 o'clock, or text or email or whatever. So there ends up being a lot of evening time to try to get as much done as possible. So I haven't been available as much on the Thursdays, but I am this week, and I'm very glad to be back.
It's all good. I have been spinning up new shows and getting other things ready and changing up schedules and everything else. So it's actually kind of worked out. But I am glad to have you back. I have missed our weekly discussions because lately my head has been wanting to explode, especially with everything that's been going on. And I'm like watching all the Republicans just like, oh, does it really matter if all these things are secretly funded by commies? Maybe we should just calm things down.
Lower the temperature, but also heighten the rhetoric, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all this, we've got to lower the temperature, and what Trump's saying is incitement, and what this right winger over here is saying is incitement, and this senator and this podcast or whatever. And they're the ones that are doing this. And then they say things like, oh, I don't know, that Kristi Noem needs to be put on ice for good.
Yeah.
They are setting up tip lines to report ICE agents and not report them for doing anything wrong, just for existing. They're saying things like, mark our words, we will hunt you down, every single one of you, after this administration is out of office. For doing their job, they work for the federal government. They don't work for Trump. They work for any presidential administration that's in office. And, they didn't see a lot of action last term because the Democrats were welcoming in as many illegal crossings as they possibly could.
Yeah. But this is the thing, though.
And they're the same officers, guys. Most of them are the same officers. So they were fine then. They're not fine now. They work for the government. They don't work for a party. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. I mean, because they're enforcing the actual immigration laws, and I know that I'm more of a hardliner than most on this because I still don't feel like they've gone far enough because we still have millions of these people that need to be dealt with. But at the same time, I'm just like, you guys really don't even I mean, there's like all kinds of stuff leaking out now that there's stuff in Minneapolis, like the folks that are providing all the cool signs and the yellow vests and all that stuff. It is the Party for Socialist Liberation that is funding all that shit, which has direct ties to China.
Shocker.
So,
the CCP? Really? No.
So I'm just like, do we not realize? I mean, but this is what drives me crazy about the left, because the left is always like, well, you see, it's the right that's in bed with the Ruskies and this and that. And it turns out that almost everything that they get funded is usually being bankrolled by somebody overseas, and it's usually tied somewhere, somehow, some way to China.
Or even when it hasn't, it's only benefit. It's for the most part, like the funds that have been brought in, very little of it has ever actually been spent on the quote unquote cause. And it has more so enriched whoever at the heads of these sprung up organizations are, a la BLM. There's been a couple of them in the last few weeks for the ICE situation. I mean, that Nekima who was arrested for the bombarding the church and what I would essentially call holding them hostage, that, come to find out, yeah, she heads up one of these liberal activist orgs, and they've taken in millions and millions of dollars and only dispersed like $500,000. And she's living high on a $200,000+ salary, having this been enacted for several years and barely putting out like an eighth of what they've brought in fundraising. Something's going on there. So it's not even just the ones that are like have back ties to say a Russia or China or something like that obviously has very they're very determined to fund these types of things to cause divisiveness in American society and to dismantle the way of life here. But it's even happening on the smaller scale, because at the heart of it, it's all a fucking scam, just like it was with climate change. I mean, they can barely ever show how much they're putting out, and a lot of times those in charge are just enriching themselves, which is funny because for years and years, all they've been doing is crying about crony capitalism, cronyism, all these things about all these people getting kickbacks, about all these sort of shell companies and sham this and sham that. But they've been doing it in their own network for at least a decade, if not more, with all of their little pet causes. They're doing the same damn shit. They just don't have Walmart as their name.
It's just all of this is just so insane to me. I don't even really know any other way to explain it. It's just like watching today, because I have been one of these people that, like, for ever since the Republicans won everything in November, I'm like, the first thing we need to do is nuke the filibuster. You know what the Republicans proved to me today? It wouldn't even do it. They wouldn't do any good even if we nuked the filibuster, because 7 of them voted with the fucking Democrats today to stop the funding bills.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is retarded. You guys are helping communists. They're literal communists. That's like Virginia. I bet Virginia right now is having severe buyer's remorse, and all the talking heads are like, well, it doesn't really matter how many crazy things the legislature sends up there, or whatever the hell they call their governing branch there, because the governor's not going to sign half of bullshit. She's not. She may have ran as a moderate, but trust me, they're taking direction from her. That's how this works. The person at the top, who's the same member of the same party, they're the ones that says, hey, let's start working on this. You've seen Trump do it all the time. We need to work on this. So this whole, like, Virginia is about to have one of the highest tax rate in the country. And all I can say is Bohica, because we tried to tell you.
They swung so far the other way from where they were. So it's like, I know it was hard getting Youngkin in the first place, but still at that point, there was established, leadership and policies, and they just ripped it all to shreds and just swung so hard left that, yeah, a lot of the normies in the middle that wouldn't believe that it would be that bad are 100% having whiplash and buyer's remorse now, because they're like, well, I didn't really fucking think this. And now they see the list and they're like, holy shit, what? I mean, there's people going through the same thing with Mamdani, but I think that that's less of a shock. I think it's a shock for some of the let's all be gentlemen political and media class, but I don't think it's a shock for a lot of the people there that voted for him. I think we all knew what he fucking stood for. That's why when even some of the more, more liberal journalists, but not Rachel Maddow, you know what I mean? Like some of the ones that are like, yeah, you're liberal, but you're not like that. You're not a Don Lemon. That are like, oh, this is untenable. Like he's pulling the rug out from under New Yorkers. What the hell are you talking about? He's been telling you who he is for years and what he would do. What do you mean? Like, I just don't understand. Like, you just didn't pay attention. And I don't think it's that. I think they were trying to sanitize it for the masses because they thought overall this is a better choice than any Republican, obviously, or any moderate Democrat, which they don't feel is valid either. You can't be a moderate Dem. You can only be far left or get out. I mean, look at Fetterman, right?
Like, you're a moderate Dem anymore. You're either full on commie or you're not. But I mean, one of the first wake up calls for me, if I was a New Yorker, would have been during the snowstorm when Mamdani was like, "Yeah, no, don't worry about. We're not going to make it. We're not going to force the homeless to go inside." And 10 homeless people died in one night. Like, yeah, the warmth of socialism, embracing everyone. I think we lost Jen, but I think she's back.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't even have a dip in service. That was so strange. It was like, I'm reconnecting.
Yeah, but it's been randomly doing that with me lately. I think it's a restream thing.
Yeah, it must be. I've never seen that message before. Anyways, yeah, I just think it's one of those like, no, you just refuse to believe it. And you thought that so much, like, they're so bought into this idea that the only reason people on the right are against some of these people is because they're just buying into propaganda. And so they've convinced themselves that so many of these clips that are shared, so many of the statements that are made really aren't them. That's them provoking or trolling the right wing, or the right wing is manipulating it. And that's what's making that sound worse than what it is, because actually that's not in context. What he did say was, and then he comes out and says, no, that's what I fucking said. That's what I'm going to do. So I think so many have just dismissed it that way. Like, I mean, I've just watched on my own, like, media feeds, like social media feeds, and I've seen people like arguing and saying, well, that's not really what he said. And then it's like, okay, now what do you think now? 2 weeks later, when it's like, that's exactly what he's doing, is what we said he said. And it's like, well, I couldn't trust it when it came from Fox. And I'm like, what, you couldn't trust the video of him saying the fucking words? Well, just because it was aired on Fox News and nobody else would air it because they didn't want to hurt his chances of winning? That should tell you everything you need to fucking know.
There's a reason they don't believe anything that doesn't come from somewhere that they trust, and half the time they don't even believe the stuff that comes from where they supposedly trust it, because they know how much things are heavily edited. Look at the BBC getting in trouble just a month or so ago for the clip they edited from years ago, where they made it seem like Donald Trump, within the space of 30 seconds, was like, we're gonna march on the Capitol and take this bitch over, instead of the 45 minutes of other crap that he said.
Well, and yeah, there's definitely manipulation that happens, but I'm like, the thing is that so many of these things for these candidates happen live, so it's not even like, oh, this was a video that got edited down and sent to us later. It's like, but a lot of people, yes, that's how some people are consuming it, but a ton of people saw it live on air as it happened. But they're lying. Like, it's just so, like, we don't trust the government. We don't trust the media. The left doesn't really either. They don't trust the government when it's Trump. They trust it if it's Biden. I'm always skeptical, regardless. I want to see sources. I want to see, where that's coming from. I want to see the fucking data. I don't just always buy in automatically because it's a Republican administration. It's like, sometimes there's things that are said that I go, I don't know. That doesn't sound right. And I'm not sure that that's the full story. And then sometimes it's not. They buy hook, line, and sinker anything a Democratic organization says, for the most part, from the National Party to, projects to, any of these NGOs or whatever. But they don't trust the government overall. They don't trust what certain media say, but they trust other media. So in those ways, it's like, we actually are a lot alike, like, I don't trust most of the shit that you don't trust either. We just pick and choose what you trust and don't trust. I don't as much, but a lot of people on the right do. They pick and choose what they don't trust and what source from they don't trust. And so in that way, like, we're all a lot alike. We're all fucking like, I don't believe you. So that should give us some common ground to stand on for how fucked up our media class has become, because they've just become parroters, become narrative drivers. They've become so politically invested and biased. And then it should unite us against a government that mostly wants to take out our rights or infringe on them. And we oppose that wholly on a regular basis. They only oppose it when it suits them. When it caters to whatever, thing they want to be outraged about.
And that's just it. That's all they have is just manufactured outrage and BS. Because, I mean, look, I'm going to be honest with the Preddy thing. I wasn't exactly sure at first, because the first few angles that I saw of it didn't look that great until I zoomed in and realized that even after there was 4 of them trying to tackle the dude, he was still fighting them while he was on the ground. And then at that point, somebody yells out gun, and the next thing you know, everybody's shooting. If you're dumb enough to start fighting back when cops are trying to arrest you and they figure out you have a weapon, then you've earned a Darwin Award.
But the thing I've even seen from some people on the right is, like, when he was already detained, like he was already subdued. And I'm like, no, he was still resisting. What are you talking about? They're on top of him and a grown man is resisting. And that is harder than people think it is. They're like, well, there were 4 of them and they had guns. Yeah, you don't want them to use the guns, which ended up happening. So that's that doesn't matter at all that they have the guns. What should matter is that I don't know how many people have ever tried, whether it's just like, it doesn't have to be anything like this. You don't have to have law enforcement experience. Have you ever had a friend wasted that is flailing and mad and drunk, and y'all have tried to control them and get them into a car or get them to the appropriate door, and they're fighting you every step of the way? Does it just take one human being a little bit bigger than them? Not normally. Normally it takes 3, 4, 5 people.
I mean, hell, I used to work security at clubs. Tell me how many people I used to have to toss out.
Well, yeah, that's my experience too. Not actually working the security, but running security for my venues, as part of my job. Like, absolutely, sometimes it took 3 or 4 very large humans to down what you might think is some soy boy. If they're heightened enough, if their adrenaline is pumping enough, and if they are truly resisting and fighting back, it takes more than one person to put them down, unless you use violence, unless you actually hit them and subdue them in a way that likely is not good. And so I just think that that's the part of like Monday morning quarterbacking that is unhelpful, that doesn't pertain to anything at the time. We can also argue about the phone and was he going for the gun? The officer already had the gun, but the other officers didn't know that. And also, by the way, does that mean he doesn't have another one? We don't know. They don't know. And how fast that all happened. And the second, third shot were unnecessary. In that moment, nobody knows that we're talking about split seconds apart.
Well, yeah, that's one of the points that I've been trying to make for forever. As somebody that has gone through both law enforcement and private security firearm training, one of the first things they teach you is to never assume they only have one gun.
Sure. If you haven't gotten to adequately pat them down and remove all threats while they are subdued and in handcuffs, then you do not know. But I think too, like all of that, but the public can, we can slow it down and frame by frame and judge every single little millisecond in a way that obviously you don't have the ability to do in real time as an officer or as a passerby, as someone standing by. Like, they don't even, you notice how many people didn't initially run because they didn't react as fast as what you're saying these officers are supposed to react. Yeah, and they're in the street next to him. Do what?
Half the people around him didn't even know what was going on. And they
right. So I'm saying, like, the brain isn't triggered. They're like, well, it's poor training. Maybe, but you don't know that from that short clip. And, there will be a review of it. It won't satisfy them if he doesn't get charged, if those officers don't get charged. Just same thing with Good, same thing with any of these other, like, protesters and violence and everything. But the spinning then of this narrative of the martyrs, oh, just the mom dropping off her kids, just the VA nurse that just wanted to go support people's rights to live in our great country. Soulful, kind, loving, never hurt a fly. And a video comes out of him kicking the shit out of the back of an ICE car and busting the fucking taillight. That doesn't mean that someone should be shot. That doesn't mean that any of the rest of that had to happen. But you know what it does mean to me is that if the police had been cooperating with ICE in these situations, that man would have been arrested. He would have been safe from ever being involved in that altercation that got him killed. But Minnesota told them to stand down. Minneapolis told them to stand down. So there was no police officer there to arrest him for assaulting a federal vehicle.
And which meant he still had his concealed carry permit and was able to do the same thing 14 days later, which is dumb as shit. I mean, because honestly, and look, I mean, and let's take this a step further. If Minneapolis and Minnesota in general, Minneapolis specifically, was working with ICE to honor ICE detainers, they would have never even known that ICE was there, because the jails would be calling ICE going, hey, this guy's getting out in about a week. Be ready. Yeah. We'll come get him. This is when we're going to let him out. They would have went and grabbed him. And you know what? That would have they're rounding up people that aren't criminals because you're making them go into the neighborhoods and they're finding more people that are illegal. So
they're literally having to go on a search and seizure mission because they're not being allowed to do that as they walk them out of jail. Several prominent, accounts in media and in government made the comments when some numbers came out that like, wait, you're telling me that Texas has the highest number of illegal, captures and deportations, and we're not seeing that they're not marching in their streets like this, they're not bullying their citizenry like this, they're not blah 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 blah. Why aren't they doing that? Because Trump won Texas. No, motherfuckers, they're not doing that because Texas and the cities in Texas, even the ones that claim to be sanctuaries, sorry, DPS comes in and overrides them, fully fucking cooperate with ICE operations. They fully cooperate with them whenever we have someone charged in our jails, picked up in the drunk tank, whatever that is. They run their info, they fucking call the feds. They let them come in and get them. We have offices all over here, and it never makes the news because it's without incident, because they're doing their job and we're cooperating with them so that they can do their job in a way that enforces our immigration law, which is enshrined by Congress. Thank you very much. None of this unconstitutional. It's literally been laid out and upheld by case after case after case after case for fucking 50, almost 70 years. Like, get the fuck out. This is so elementary, and the way that they are behaving is so beyond juvenile. And I'm not just talking about the protesters. I expect them to be absolutely batshit. I'm talking about those going on TV and speaking. I'm talking about the representatives and the supposed leaders and the mayors. And it seems to me like all they really care about is wanting more martyrs so that they can attack Trump more, they can attack Republicans more, and they're hoping that they're buying votes and they're sowing discord enough that people will flip an election. And it's so fucking disgusting that they're doing that off the backs of the mom just dropping her kid off and the VA nurse who only lived to serve and help other humans, by riling them and twisting them to such a point that that's what they felt entitled to do, that resulted in their death. And it's terribly tragic and it's fucking sad, but it's entirely preventable and absolutely on the heads of that leadership.
Well, that's the one thing that really pisses me off, because I guarantee you Alex Preddy thought he was doing the right thing. So did Renee Good. These people have bought into the narrative and the bullshit, and they're like, we're trying to stop the next Hitler. These people are literally Nazis. So
well, why wouldn't they?
But
I mean, Stephen Colbert goes on TV and says that it's an insult to Nazis to call them Nazis because Nazis are actually better than ICE. That's the insinuation. So now you're framing this picture where violent opposition by the protesters, they can see themselves as these righteous Nazi hunters. It's so fucking irresponsible and insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, if we lose the midterms, it's going to be fun, and not in a good way.
Well, I do think it's interesting that pretty much everybody besides Fox and CBS, which now that Barry Weiss is there, I know it's not perfect. I know not everything's, and she's not like some super right-wing person, so I don't expect it to be Fox News. But there seems to be some changes being made and some more accountability. But pretty much everybody besides Fox and CBS, CBS News, let's be clear, tried to bury some of the recent polls that came out, which showed that still close to 60% of Americans, even with all this fucking chaos, even with the headline news and the sad deaths, preventable deaths of these people, and the burning of things and the throwing of things and the arrests and the pepper spray, and did they use too much force, and they drug a man out in his underwear who was elderly and didn't have anything to do with anybody, all that shit, leaving a 5-year-old on a sidewalk, all that shit. And still, most of the latest polling numbers still showed that an overwhelming majority of the American people supported illegal deportations. Particularly goes higher for violent offenders. And they try to bury it because that doesn't bode well for the narrative they're trying to push.
Well, this is the part that pisses me off, because again, you know that the Republicans in DC know about this polling data, and yet they still are trying to, well, we're going to try to tone things down a bit, and we're going to do this, and maybe we'll vote for the DHS funding as a separate thing and just pass these other 5 for now. I'm like, dude, seriously, just fucking man up. I hate you people. I'm out here pushing for you guys to do your damn jobs, and every time I do, you make me step on a rake. I hate you people.
Well, it's also insane because of what has been offered since, at least since Trump stepped into office again. And so this whole idea that we're not doing this humanely. Okay, fine. You have the right to enforce some of these laws. Some of the people that do seed ground, you have the right to enforce some of this. And okay, yes, the rapists should go. Okay, the kitty diddlers should go. Okay, fine. But we're not doing it humanely. I don't know what's more fucking humane than DHS offering the incentives that they are, which is $2,600 and arrangements and a paid for flight to self-deport. Please tell me who does that in any other part of the world. And also please tell me how that is fucking inhumane.
And then you get the option to, once you get where you're going, turn around and start the process to try to come back in again.
Because you've self-deported. You're getting a little check mark next to your name saying, okay, you did something lawful after doing something very unlawful, but you minded your business and did what you should do. You did the right thing. So now you get a little green flag next to your name that, yes, you can start the process again. But that's not humane.
It's just nuts.
And I think, like, for me, when people they start to lose the taste of it, we're like, but that was just a so-and-so and they weren't anybody, they didn't have a criminal background or they didn't have this. Almost every fucking time, give it 48 hours. Give it 48 hours. And just you wait. Oh, turns out, yeah, they have 4 DUIs. Oh, turns out they were wanted for a hit and run and had 2 felony warrants. Oh, turns out they were already on a standing deportation order that they had ignored for the better part of 4 fucking years, or in some cases, 10 or 15 years. So I'm sorry, but no, it's not just the cry story. It's not the sob story that you want it to be. Almost every time when they're like, oh, she was just a mother. He was just a father. It was just this. It was just that. Oh my gosh, he worked for the school. He worked for the hospital. What ends up coming out? And sometimes it's not even stuff that's happened in the United States. It's that they never would have had access to be here. Like they never would have been approved to be here because of charges, and not just charges. Sometimes they're actual convictions back in their home countries. And part of the reason we see them here is because their home countries are going, our prisons are overcrowded, or we can't control them. The gangs control them. You know, the drug cartels, we have all these, get the fuck over to the United States because we're not dealing with your ass. They release them. They release them to cross. And they tell them how to. It happens in Texas all the time.
Yeah, you would think, but what do I know?
I mean, that's what, what's his face? He used to be Bill Fox LA, and now he's one of the main guys on the network. Oh gosh, why am I blanking on his name? Anyways, it's what he reported on for a decade, just on the border between Texas, Arizona, California. Like he was on the border reporting for years and years and years and years, getting a little bit of national traction. He'd be the correspondent they'd go to from the main networks. But now, that was his entire shtick, was doing all of that. And he was very fair about it. But, you report on bad things and they don't want to hear it. So they're just going to ignore.
Well, yeah, of course, because they can't handle the bad news. I mean, one of the things that I absolutely just got an absolute kick out of, which happened yesterday, was Ilhan Omar at her little presser or town hall or whatever it was, when dude supposedly runs up and squirts her with what's supposed to be an unknown liquid, and then she starts chasing after him like, why I oughta. I'm like, dude,
she did the foot stomp with the fist pump.
You didn't follow any of the protocols that I know they would make you follow if that was truly an unknown substance. Not to mention the fact, because we can, as all these leftists have been loving to point out, slow down these videos. You can actually see a split second where she like gives the dude a look and a slight nod right before he starts rushing.
It does appear that way. He has caught charges, so I do kind of wonder about that a little bit. However, what I kind of thought, even whether she did or didn't kind of set it up, what I kind of thought is there was a screening process to get in there in the first place, and they already knew that was a fucking water bottle they handed him in the room.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? Like there was no real danger. It was like quote unquote assault because he threw water on her, but not like, I don't think there was any real danger of what that water, like what that was. Like I think And I think that's why, maybe the setup, but also let's say it wasn't, say it was totally organic. I think that's why there wasn't any panic, because he came in with nothing and they had bottles of water on the table for them to have while they sat there at the presser. And that's what he used.
Well, apparently that was like apple cider vinegar is what they said. So
I've seen that report, and then I've seen other people say that that has not been verified, but I don't know. Either way, the reaction was hilarious and stupid.
I'm hoping it really was staged, because now that he's caught charges, I guarantee you he starts rolling over on people if it was staged, which should be fun.
Right. Or he's getting paid off to like deal with whatever it is.
I don't know. But anyway. So.
I mean, because that's not going to catch any jail time, most likely.
No, but it still should be enough to maybe scare him enough to start saying, "Hey, what was going on with this?" You're like, well, you see, it was her.
I mean, unless she used her pretty little campaign slush fund to give him $100,000 or something, she's still being investigated for all that bullshit, as she has been for fucking years.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, well, everybody that's like, she wouldn't do anything like that. I'm like, dude, she committed immigration fraud to get in this damn country. Don't tell me.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
It's just nuts.
Oh, she did something. She said something else today. Well, yeah, she said the difference between the president and I is that I was raised to be a decent human being, and my faith teaches me to have compassion. And he lacks both of those things. I'm like, Islam? Yeah. Oh, right. The religion.
Yeah.
The religion of
religion pieces.
Humanity, decency, compassion, and love. 100%. Yep, buy it. Sure.
So, have you seen all these fraud cases getting pled out lately? I just saw another one today. I think it was a Florida guy. Like he forfeited his estate and a Rolls Royce after settling for like $52 million. I swear, with all these cases getting pled out and everything else, when the fraud czar actually gets turned loose, we may not have a national deficit anymore.
Well, remember, if you're a fellow tinfoil cap dabbler like we are, that there, isn't it a little bit coinky dinky that just as a shit ton of fraud is being exposed in Minnesota, turmoil and unrest and protesting of the most righteous kind against those Gestapo thugs, the ICE agents.
Yeah, no, I've talked about this several times lately.
I mean, shift, spin.
Yeah, the irony of this all spinning up within days of the Trump administration announcing that there's a minimum of $9 billion worth of fraud in Minnesota, and then Walz coming out and well, none of my administration has been tied up in this, and let's face it, this happens everywhere. Maybe, but nowhere else are they trying to go to war to keep people from finding out. So
not only that, but God, this is so organized and so systemic. Like having entire like strip malls or office buildings full of all of these essentially empty shell buildings pretending to be something else and just funneling government money through, and them carrying cold hard cash across international lines to take back to Somalia is fucking insane. I mean, the level of organization, someone has advised them exactly how to do this and defraud the government every step of the way. And I promise you, it wasn't just a random Somali immigrant that figured it out.
Oh, trust me, no, it was not.
And there was an organized effort here.
And again, I think that's one of the reasons why there's so much going on there, because they were hoping to distract from it all. Because I know for a fact Walz has to be tied up in it somewhere. Because dude went from I can't wait to kick JD's ass in a debate again to, oh, not only am I stepping away from trying to run for governor again, I'm leaving politics altogether. I'm going to find another way to serve.
Yeah. Que interesante.
Yeah.
Oh, also, did you see his latest little comment where he worries that the violence in his state could produce a national rupture? And he said, I mean, is this a Fort Sumter?
Yeah,
bro.
Not like you're calling for it or nothing.
Bro, Drew Holden made a great. I loved his. It was something I was thinking, but didn't put in quite so succinct a point. Drew Holden said, Walt's positioning himself as the governor of the rebels seceding from the U.S. for an unjust cause is a little too on the nose.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like, you're not the North in this situation. You're the Confederacy. Like, there's no other way to look. Like, you are the Confederacy. You're not the North in this situation. So stop being such a fucking dumbass. There's something else I was gonna bring up. Oh, yeah. So these announcements being made, like the one by Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson announces new guidelines for hindering ICE activities and protecting illegals. Directs police to follow ICE around, film them, and share the info with community organizations. Prohibits ICE from using city property. $4 million taxpayer dollars to illegals' legal fees and support. And urges businesses and property owners to put up notices banning ICE from their property, in which they will fucking tear them down and laugh. You cannot ban them from a property when they have a fucking warrant to go get in somebody.
Yeah, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
I mean, just the delusion of it. And then, New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill to launch a portal to track and report ICE agents. We're going to be standing up a portal where people can upload all their cell phone videos and alert people. If you see an ICE agent in the street, get your phone out. We want to know where they are and who they are. The governor of New Jersey. I'm helping. No, I'm telling you, they want more martyrs. So it's like the left. I love this. Brianna Lyman said, the left is willing to track our ICE agents for trying to enforce the law, but wouldn't bother to track who the hell was pouring over the border illegally for 4 years. An utterly unserious party through and through. I also love all the people that are like, we demand to see your ID because we think you're ICE or we think you're with federal agents. We want to see your ID. And we're like, this whole thing is because you don't want people to have to show their fucking papers. And then people that you just randomly bombard innocently in the street. They had TSA agents today that were bombarded. They were suspected to be ICE and they fucking harassed them. And even once they found out they weren't, they still fucking harassed them for the federal government. Absolutely, those people, they should turn around and press charges. It's so ridiculous. But the fact that the irony is just so lost on them about this, like, I demand to know who you are. You have to prove it to me to show me that you're good enough that I can let you pass without being harmed or inhibited, held hostage, whatever the fuck you want to say. We're not letting you pass until you show your papers. But ICE are the Gestapos who have legal deportation orders for people who do not have legal ID and have entered illegally into this country. And that is a fucking point of contention to where they are willing to let people die and burn down cities. What the fuck? The logic does not fall. It's so crazy to me. I barely broached that with somebody. I rarely do politics on Facebook or Instagram, but this girl had posted a video about how she was going to make plans to move to another country, but how hard it was and moving to another country because of all of this, because Trump has ruined America. This is not the America she knows. We're living in a Nazi society now, this total fascism, and how dare they do this to all these poor illegal people, and yada, yada, on and on and on and on. And then goes on to kind of say, I know we haven't moved yet, but the reason is because there's a lot to get in place. There's so much paperwork and we have to go through such an intense approval process to be allowed to live there. And I just said, so why don't you just go on a vacation and then just never leave? Well, that's not possible because of how their laws are. And I'm like, oh, so their laws are enforceable? And she's like, oh, yes, it's very serious. Because, I mean, never fucking seeing it. Never seeing the bait I'm just fucking reeling her in with. Like, do you hear yourself? Like, we're so unfair. We're literally offering them $2,600 on a flight home, which could be anywhere from $600 to $1,000 to pay for that flight. But we're offering them that. And you're saying that's inhumane. We need to let them all be here. It doesn't matter what their past is. They're just trying to be, come to America. Everybody has the right to. And then I'm like, and you're moving to another country because you're so disgusted by it and we're so mistreating them so poorly. And it's just disgusting that they'd ever have to prove themselves. They'd have to, I mean, she literally used about having to show a green card, having to show ID, having to do any of that. And she's literally lamenting about that. And then about 5 minutes later in her video, when she's talking about her process, she talks about all the shit that she has to do, which is more than what the US requires. And having lived in Europe, I can tell you that. Like, I had to overstay my student visa and I couldn't leave. The Spanish consulate knew, and I was fine to stay in Spain. I was approved to stay in Spain to finish out my studies, but I couldn't leave Spain after my 3-month EU tourist visa was up. I was allowed to stay in Spain to finish my studies for the rest of the time that I was enrolled in school there. And it's only because I kind of had a special situation, because when I was initially studying abroad, I was supposed to go to Costa Rica. And then the State Department recalled all study abroad programs from Central and South America because of Colombian drug cartels at the time. There was a huge brouhaha going on. And so the program that had a place in had a program in Costa Rica also did programs in other parts of the world. As I said, you have a few choices. You can go to Madrid, you can go to Barcelona, whatever. And I said, I'll go to Barcelona. But it was only 3 weeks before I was supposed to leave to start my program in Barcelona, which I thought was going to be Costa Rica. So I had to go to the Spanish consulate in Houston. And unfortunately, they can't process a student visa that fast. So they gave me advice on what to do, got me in the system as I will be on a tourist visa. But after 3 months, the EU will not honor my visa, but Spain would. Only if I stayed enrolled. And I was. So I didn't have any problems in Spain. But they were like, you might be able to take a train into France. You might be able to go to Portugal. I would be careful about it, but you definitely cannot go to the UK. You definitely cannot go to any of the Nordic countries. You cannot go to the Netherlands. You cannot go to Sweden. You cannot go to any of those countries. They will deport you so fast. They will detain you the second you get off the plane. Your passport will have been flagged once you even took the flight. As a white American who's spending a lot of money in Europe. But that's totally fine and just. But people that have come here and overstayed and absolutely sucked our system dry and often committed crimes and whatever else. And I know that's not every illegal, but there's enough for it to be very concerning that is all okay and good and should be wiped clean and forgiven. But however other countries, however harsh their laws are, or how much they penalize someone who overstays, or how fast they'll deport someone, that's cool. That's cool. That's their deal. And like, they got to do that. I mean, that's what they should do. They have that right, but we don't have the right. I will never understand that. How are we the only country that doesn't have the right to fucking curtail our illegal immigration, protect our borders, and deport people that is particularly fucking violent criminals? It's insane.
I mean, seriously, because we're the only. We have the Statue of Liberty, and if you not read the poem on the Statue of Liberty, do you not understand that we stole this land from the Indians? No, the Indians were conquering each other for this land before we ever got here, and eventually,
many of them migrated from other areas of the continent. But even beyond that, it's just not true about the Statue of Liberty and all of that, because if you go once after the initial settlement of New England and then really becoming into the fruition of the United States, and once we had an actual Constitution, Bill of Rights, all of that, what did we do in New York? Where was the main point of entry for all foreigners was Ellis Island. Mm-hmm. And at Ellis Island, there was a checklist of things when they examined you when you came off the boat. And you were held in the infirmary if something was wrong with you, or if they suspected something was. You were held in another holding place for some barracks for a while if you were approved, but needed to then have, there were all kinds of ways. Sometimes it was apprenticeship, sometimes it was a sponsor. Sometimes you're approved in and of your own accord because you had whatever skill set. But we absolutely did discriminate at the point of entry. And they turned people away on a regular basis, including for things like typhoid, for having measles. Anybody suspected of having any sort of health issue was absolutely not allowed in this country. They were turned away. And people were turned away for not having papers. They were turned away for not having a justified reason for their travel. I mean, at the very beginning of every country, of course, it's like, we're a nation of immigrants. They've got to come in and we've got to establish. And that is how it works. But once you get a society in place and you get a common rule of law, and you are fighting wars internationally. We separated from the British and to establish this country. And then we fought with them again. We fought with the French. We fought with the Indians. We fought with the Spanish. We fought with the Mexicans. You have to protect your borders. And one of the ways you do that is by being very, I'm trying to think of the right word and I can't come up with it, but being very like particular about who is and is not allowed to enter here to become a citizen or to become a member of the society, even if they're not a full-fledged citizen.
Well, I mean, it happened again even after that. I mean, granted, it's about 80 years or so ago now, but everybody forgets that after World War II, we had such an influx of people that they completely locked down immigration like at all from like the 1950s to the early 60s. They weren't letting anybody in.
Yeah,
And
we've had several periods like that. I mean, they did it right after after World War I, too, in a less it wasn't as obvious and it wasn't like by decree, but it was kind of just the way that it was ordered to be done. And that had less to do with people coming in after World War I as it did with the Spanish flu. And anytime there's been any kind of major plague type or viral type outbreak throughout our history, they've limited entry into this country as best they can, particularly from Europe. And, everybody's like, brown people. I'm like, we used to discriminate the most from people from Europe. We let people cross our southern border because we were a lot of territory. And then when you did finally, when Texas did enter the Union, and there was and fought for there was a love-hate relationship with Mexico, but there was a commonality in the south in the southern part of Texas, that there was a little more free flow, but no one was trying to take anybody else's shit. It was just the war had been won. It had been established. There were a few extra skirmishes along the way over the next 15, 20 years or so. But for the most part, it was cattle drives. It was goods trading. It was all of that kind of thing. And so there wasn't as much regulation down there, but there wasn't the issue of the infiltration. And in the Northeast, they were highly discriminatory against the Italians, against the Irish, and the list goes on. And some of them for valid reasons, some of them not at all. Some of them simply because of how they look. So we scream about brown people now, and that's who Big Bad ICE is after. But for much of our history, a lot of what they classify as white now, white Europeans were the most discriminated against from entering this country. Particularly if they did not have high class, nobility, wealth, all of that. Of course, those people were welcome, just as they are today from pretty much anywhere. If you have some sort of business and innovation and you have some prowess of industry or anything like that, the likelihood of you getting through the approval process and you have the money to pay the lawyers to do it, you are going to get that access much faster than the guy that's running from his village that's overrun by a cartel. That's how it's always worked, and it's how it's always going to work unless we change something about the way our immigration system works. And I'm a big proponent of that. I'm a huge proponent of needing to overhaul this system. I think it's far too bogged down. It's so incompetent. It's overloaded. And, of course, there's people that are underpaid and overworked, and it costs way too much, and it's too convoluted. And there should be a much simpler system to apply for the ability to be here, to incentivize them to actually do it the right way. When people hear that it may be 5, 10, 15 years before they ever really even get an answer, and if they get caught here in the meantime, they'll be deported and then they get marked off the list. It doesn't work. It's not working. It hasn't been working. That's why we're here. That's part of why we're here. That and people like Biden and Obama and Clinton letting people come in. But we've got a convoluted system, I think could use a major overhaul. I've known some people that have gone through it, and it's absolutely, it's just a boondoggle. It's just an insane boondoggle, and it's so much money, and these are people that absolutely should be here. And that's not every single person, and it's okay. It is okay for us to discriminate and say there's not much you can offer this country. I understand that you are coming from a place that is poorer, maybe more dangerous, but asylum gets thrown around way too easily, And it's very rare that it's truly asylum that any of these people can claim, even though they've been allowed to sign up for it for however much they want to in the app. It's not true asylum in most cases. And we should have the ability to go, I'm sorry, like, yeah, you have 6 kids and you're a poor farm worker and you come from a place that's shitty, but that doesn't mean we have to give you access and jump you to the front of the line. It's sad, but we don't have to. This country can say no to that and say yes to the guy who, developed further AI shit or something. Or a better powered vehicle that runs off less gas. I mean, whatever.
Well, that's exactly it. It's our country. We can run it however the fuck we want. I thought that was the whole point of having a country, was we get to decide how we run it. But what do I know? Anyway. So yeah, I saw Molly Ringwald got on the whole, we're living in a fascist country. It's not becoming one. It already is. I'm like, you are a sad example of Generation X, ma'am. Terribly sad example of Generation X.
Well, she's about 4 times her 16 candles now, so.
This is true.
Forgive an old lady who still dyes her hair like Lucy.
Nice.
Oh man, no, she's not that old, but she's older now, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And John Leguizamo got on there, was like, unfollow me. Fuck you if you blah blah blah. I don't want any of you to be my fans. I don't want any of you supporting. I don't want it. Like,
okay,
all right, bro.
Who has ever gone to watch a movie and actually knew that Leguizamo was in it?
I've never been like, you know what? I got to catch that new Leguizamo film. I got to catch that new Leguizamo special. When was the last time he did a special?
He's always like
25 years.
He's always like a character actor, so you don't even know he's in it till you're watching.
Yeah, and then he's in it and he's good. But anybody else could be good too. There's a lot of fucking talented musicians, actors, there's a lot of freaking talented artists and that aren't batshit crazy, that are just, coming from the family I do, sometimes it really makes me mad that there seems to be no place for them and they don't get these chances, and these people get the chances and they piss on everybody who got them there. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. Half these people fell into this shit. I mean, that's the reality. Like, there are so many more talented people on this planet that ever actually get the role or get the record deal or get the viral moment or whatever, that then lets them actually do what they're so talented at for a living and loving it. I mean, we've got so many people in our audience that have great talent. They're masterful musicians, great producers, all variety of art stuff. And then the majority of people who make it, it's not that they didn't work hard, but they also got somewhere in the right room at the right time, at the right person. It's very happenstance. And then to turn around and act like, they're so much mightier and higher than anybody else just really fucking grinds my gears, man. Really pisses me off. There's a few where there's only one of them. Like, I think there's only one Kelly Clarkson, though she doesn't dive into politics very much, which I very much appreciate. I love it. But there's like only one. She's very unique, and she's got one of the greatest voices in the pop soul country world, right? Of my time. There's the Michael Jacksons. There's people like that are kind of truly one of a kind. But for the most part, everybody else, like, they can be very, very good. But I've heard very, very good in Stephenville, Texas. I've heard very, very good at a 50-person blues bar in New York City. I've heard very, very good at Cheatham Street in San Marcos, Texas, fucking dipshit college town. Like, they are not the only talent there is. And so the behavior pisses me off. Like, I'm more important now because I somehow have more talent than all of you plebes. And I'm like, you don't though. Like, I can go into 15 bars in Austin, Texas tonight and hear really great singers and see really great guitar players.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, that is so true though, because I mean,
Actually, not even that. I can go to almost any mega church in this fucking country and find better musicians and singers than half of what has made it.
Yeah, it really is about having the right kind of connections most of
And
the
not
time.
that some of those people ever want to. I mean, my husband's uncle is a fantastic guitar player. He's never wanted to do anything with it other than just jam with his buddies and play for his church. And he's incredible. And he has 20 something guitars, but he's incredible. He could totally play for any major band he wanted to if he was put in the right position, but he's never desired that. It's for him.
Out of it, then that's all that matters. But
right. I'm just saying, these people acting like they're not, it's not a dime a dozen, but it's not as rare as I think is being portrayed for them to be able to shit on us as if they are so freaking special and superior. And that's why their political opinions matter more. It's just gross. And it's been catered to for far too long. And you're starting to see a little bit of a flip on that.
A little bit.
And that's one of those things where I go, and thank you, Trump, and thank you, Vance, and thank you, Rubio, and for kind of making it like, fuck off, we don't care. We're still going to do this, and we think we're cool. We don't care what you think.
My favorite thing was watching this morning when I was flipping through channels. I just finished watching something on Paramount Plus, so I went ahead and turned on the news because I knew I was going to try to do some writing today, and then wound up having to do some other stuff. Because I found out we got exposed to COVID again, so I had to do a deep clean on my house.
Oh, God.
Yay, fun times. But anyway, so I turned on Fox News, the morning show on Fox News while I started cleaning up my room and doing the deep cleaning there before I went to the rest of the house. And they were completely freaking out over Nicki Minaj coming out and Trump and supporting Trump. It was funny. It was like watching kids at Christmas.
Oh,
like,
I know.
Oh, she likes the president. This is awesome. It's like, oh, come on, guys. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not that big a deal. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. Part of the reason the right ends up latching on to these celebrities when they do come out and say something, the Jon Voights and the Chris Pratts and Nicki Minaj and they're here and there, Gina Carano, like all that kind of stuff. Part of the reason they latch on, and then wrongfully so to some that aren't necessarily celebrities, but like fit a right mold, like a Candace Owens or whatever, or CJ Pearson. Part of the reason they latch on and elevate them like way too much, way too quickly, without really kind of vetting the bona fides, is because it is monumental when they do. It isn't par for the course. Like the Democrats get that all the time. So when conservatives seem like, oh my gosh, he dared thank God in his speech on Oscars. I love him. Oh my God, she dared say something about supporting the troops. She's amazing. Even though she might totally believe in trans BS. Even though she might totally, we just latch on because it is so rare. They have been so silenced. They've been so shunned. And there are more and more that are coming out and saying, I kind of don't care anymore. Like, oh my gosh, what's his name? He played Chuck.
Crap, I know you're.
He's really like does not give a fuck. He's like done. I don't care. If people want to work with me, great. If they don't, fuck them. I'm not working with them anyways. He did Harold the Purple Crown. Anyways, great actor. But he's come out and been like, no, and everybody freaks out, and we fawn over him. We host him at CPAC, and we do all this stuff because they get every single awards show full of those people fawning over their presidents and their politicians and their politics and their ideologies.
By the way, Zachary Levi.
Yes. Oh, I love him. Anyways.
I knew it was in there somewhere. I was like, because his face was right there. I was like, if I think about it long enough, I know I will get it.
Yeah. But we don't, because they've been shunned, because it's not okay for them to do. I mean, even when there's like a new politician that comes out in some place like, we'll go to, Orty said, yeah, but then you have to go to Austin when I talked about the singers and musicians. We'll go to Austin. We'll get some new little hotshot politician and everybody will be like, holy shit, they're running commercials in Austin as a conservative and they're going to win the seat. Like we've had a couple on city council, in the last 20 years. They don't last very long, but we've had them. We've gotten them elected a few times. It's not all lost. And but people just go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, because we just don't see it. It's not, when they'll hate this, and I'll be called racist for it, but when people say representation matters, and they're like, oh, to see me in film, like to see the Asian girl, to see the man in a wheelchair, to see somebody with this disability or with that skin color, that hairstyle, or whatever it is, they say that matters so much, to see that representation in media, in pop culture, in film, in dance, in song, in theater. They say that matters so much, but when it doesn't matter? They're conservative. Right. They're conservative. It doesn't matter if they're white. It doesn't matter if they're an amputee. It doesn't matter if they had a miracle 8-baby pregnancy. It doesn't matter if they, are an immigrant who came from war-torn communist Russia. It doesn't matter if they're black. It doesn't matter what they are. If they're conservative, it's verboten, and it no longer matters for representation.
And I wish that weren't true, but it is. So there is one more thing that I wanted to touch on, and I saw this earlier today from the Western Journal. Did you hear about the guy who tried to break Luigi Mangione out of jail?
Oh my gosh, yes, with a pizza cutter and a grill fork.
So dude pretends to be an FBI agent, and Waltz is in there with a pizza cutter and a grill fork.
I'm so glad I had that bookmarked, because I was like, oh, that'll just be a funny little thing. I mean, yeah, identified as Mark Anderson, allegedly attempted to break Luigi out of prison by impersonating an FBI agent. He was reportedly armed with a barbecue fork and what appeared to be a pizza cutter. And it's one of those hold it with the rubber side and roll it. It's not even a handle. This is the anti-cut yourself pizza roller. He was quickly arrested and charged with impersonating a federal agent. You'll know, Couchy said, between this guy, Tim Waltz, and Will Stansel, I'm starting to get the impression that Minnesota is the breeding ground for the weirdest motherfuckers in America.
I'm starting to think there's something in the water up there. I ain't even playing anymore.
Like, what is happening?
I mean, that's just insane.
Like, what is happening in Minnesota? I don't understand.
I mean, this is somebody who's apparently watched Catch Me If You Can too many times and thought he was going to be cool.
Is it because they realized that there are actually states in this nation that have more lakes than them? They're the land of 10,000 lakes, but several other states have more lakes than Minnesota. Random tidbit I found out in college. I was in DC working with some people and working for Young America's Foundation, and I had a few, there were like 3 people that came together that were from Minnesota, and they were like, well, one thing we have better than Texas is we're the land of 10,000 lakes. That's bigger and better than Texas. And I was curious about it, not because I wanted to prove that wasn't true for Texas, but I just thought 10,000 lakes. I know of like 100 that I pass in a near vicinity just on my very straight drive, from here to like Possum Kingdom Lake, which is like kind of north, a little bit northwest, like outside to the west of like Fort Worth and Dallas, Weatherford. And so when I got back to we stayed at the GW dorms. We were all hosted there. When I got back to the dorm room that night, I was like, okay, because we didn't have iPhones. I Googled it, and I can't remember what other states there were, but there was a whole thing about it, and they were so mad. I was like, well, turns out Texas has like 14,000 lakes, and then this other state has like 12,000, and then this state has. They were like, shut the fuck up, Jen. Let us have one thing.
Stop it.
Maybe they're rioting. They're not appreciated enough because they actually don't have too many lakes.
So, just so you don't think the Democrat crazy is only in Minnesota, I have to talk about this one. Oklahoma Democratic Representative A.J. Pittman resigns after pleading guilty to forgery and conspiracy charges. So, here's the footnote. She forged a check to the ethics committee.
Oh, shut up!
I am not even kidding.
No.
I'm not even kidding.
I'm sorry. How?
I don't know. I just know that's the story broke the other day. I was like, she forged a check to the ethics committee.
How is anybody that dumb?
Why would you? How would you? Why?
And like, didn't it have to go through somebody else first?
You would think.
Like, how does that not happen?
But yeah, so just to let you know, the Minnesota doesn't have the market cornered on Democrat crazy. I mean, they have a lot more of it than we do, but it's starting to spread. Because yeah, I was like, oh my god. Well, and the funny thing is, the first few stories that I saw about it didn't mention which party she was with. All the local channels that covered it here were just local politician is resigning in disgrace after or basically forging a check to the ethics committee. And I'm like, be nice.
That is so incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff said somebody tried to break out an Italian with a pizza cutter. Oh, that's amazing. Talk about on the nose. One last thing is I think that it's hilarious that they're, they're going to shut down the government thing. And Bonchi said it best. Shutting the government down over something the shutdown doesn't even affect is peak Washington. It doesn't get more Washington than that. It's like, see, Border Patrol and ICE are funded for the next 4 years, you idiots.
Yeah, I kind of made the same point today and then made a meme to go with it. Had a elderly couple sitting on their porch sipping on tea. And it's like, well, you always say you can't really fix stupid. And the man is looking back at her and says, yeah, but I always tell you it's really fun to point and laugh at it, though, too. I'm just like watching all this shit going, are you kidding me? You guys are going to shut down the government over ICE funding when ICE has already been funded.
ICE has already been funded.
And the other thing is, they're not even talking. It's not even a funding issue. They're complaining because they feel like they need better training and they need this and they need that. That has absolutely nothing to do with the funding. That's a completely different thing, you fucking morons. But anyway, from what I can see, it looks like Trump has already bought into the bullshit because it looks like they have made some sort of a deal to likely pass the other 5 things and then come back to the other one later. So who the hell knows?
I mean, my only so in a good Republican government, and I don't mean that as the party, I mean as the form of government that we have. In a good Republican government, we should come to the table and have compromise. The problem is the left has so eroded that, the Democrats have so eroded that over the last 4 to 6 elections, where they win an election and we have to roll over and they get their way. And then we win an election and we still have to roll over and they get their way. And either way, it's, well, poor well, when on one hand, they're like, elections have consequences, bitches. Hey. And then on the other hand, they're like, minorities, steamrolling. You can't do this. You're disenfranchising so many of the people. I mean, it's just fucking exhausting. They always get their way. They never have to capitulate. We always do. They never have to compromise. We always do. And like I said, in a right world of, a republic like we have, we should have that happen every single time. And I think most of us would feel more okay with it. The reason why MAGA and even non-MAGA, but still very right, very conservative people are sick and fucking tired of it and don't want any compromise and have become incredible hardliners on everything is because they never fucking do it. So why should we?
Well, no, I've said this for going on.
It's hardcore pilling people here on that shit.
Well, no, seriously, I've said this going on 17 years. The rift wasn't started by us. The rift was started in the 80s when the Democrats went to Reagan and said, look, if we clear the board, then we'll help you. Then we'll start working together to fix immigration. We'll do immigration reform.
1986 amnesty reform. And I don't, my modern day self does not agree with it, but I do understand why that seemed like a good avenue to take at the time. The problem is they didn't hold up their end of the fucking bargain. So fool me once.
We didn't create the rift. They did. And they've been but this is what pisses me off because they have been doing this to us since 1986. They go to the mat, 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 and eventually we cave. And then they go to the mat, 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 and eventually we cave. We don't have 4 more years. If you don't believe me, just look what's happening in Virginia right now. A lot of people that stayed home in the Virginia, well, it's only 4 years. We'll be all right. We'll figure it out next time. We don't have that anymore. I'm telling you right now, if Hillary Clinton had won in 16, I'm not even sure this country would exist anymore.
Well, by the way, by the standards now, though, Hillary Clinton looks downright fucking moderate.
Which is absolutely terrifying when you think about it.
I know. I mean, we're so like, oh my gosh, she'll destroy this fucking country. You know, all the fucking alarm bells. And I'm like, Hillary Clinton looks pretty damn good. Obama looks pretty good, minus a few things. I mean, he deported 10 million people.
Bill Clinton looks like a fucking Republican now.
Bill Clinton looks like an absolute Republican. Maybe a little bit of the Romney variety, but still a Republican. That's wild.
Dude, Tom Selleck is 81 today. I would hope I look anywhere near that good when I'm.
Oh my gosh, he looks fantastic. I'm just only sad that Blue Bloods is over because I love that show.
Dude, Boston Blue is nowhere near as good. I have been trying.
No, I like it, but it's not the same show at all.
I do like it, but at the same time, I'm just like, it's not the same.
You know why? You know why I think I like it so much is because for whatever reason, as clued in as I am, already said Kennedy looks MAGA, so the listening pod studio. It said JFK would be MAGA. Absolutely. Fucking MAGA all day. Anyways, I think the reason why I liked it is because I saw Donnie Wahlberg. What was I gonna say? Shit. Oh, I saw him promoting the show. I'm like, I think you'll like if you liked Blue Bloods, I think you'll like my new show, Boston Blue. But I never heard any of the characters. I just only saw him kind of promoting it. I saw a few flashes of some of the other actors in it and everything. And I didn't see any of the other, of course they changed the son. The actor playing him changed, which is like just a crazy glow up. But so I didn't see any of the same characters. So initially I hadn't been paying attention, been busy, all summer stuff. I did not think it was a spinoff. I thought he was just in it. And I knew that the Wahlbergs are from Boston. Like he's got the Boston accent. So I thought he was just doing another police procedural. So when I watched the pilot episode, and then he was actually Danny Reagan, I was like, oh shit, what? How did I miss this? So I think that's why I probably like it a little more, because I didn't go into it thinking it was going to be Blue Bloods 2.0. I thought it was just another police procedural, which, are kind of ridiculous, but I tend to enjoy. So
they're fun. I mean, if you've had a lick of training, you have to suspend disbelief, but they're still fun.
Yeah, 100%.
What I thought was funny, because I've been going through and watching stuff on Netflix, I didn't realize that for the first few episodes of Rizzoli and Isles, he was playing the lieutenant that everybody hated, that it turns out that one of the characters had kind of a crush on. And I think he was playing that part before he signed on to Blue Bloods.
Yeah. It's a perfect kind of role for him, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just so. I mean, it's not that I don't like it. It's just it's such a different feeling show. I wish.
Yeah, no, it's not the warm and family and this like dynasty and the whole like tradition. It's not that. Though they're trying to make it a little bit of that with the partners' family and all their history, and that they do Sunday dinner and all that shit. But
yeah,
well,
for
course,
them it's Saturday.
They're Muslim. They're Muslim, so it's weird.
No, they're Jewish.
Oh, that's right, they're Jewish. I forgot.
Yeah, no. So
no, I remember, because I was like, wait, they're black. They should just be Muslim. And they're like, no, they're Jewish, which is like.
Well, that's because she married into it.
I know that, but it seems like they're very hard trying to push something, because they do exist, but it's a very small percentage of an already small percentage of a religion.
Yeah, no, I know. But
very interesting. I mean, most yeah. I mean, they're well educated and cultured and things, so it's much more likely from their pedigree that they could go that way. But just in general, statistically, very unlikely that Black Americans would convert to Judaism based on marriage when a father is a Christian pastor.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I love the fact that Ernie Hudson's playing their father, their grandfather, and the father of the mom who married the Jew, and he's a Baptist minister.
Right. I'm like, and then the one granddaughter that was a holdout, now she went over and she's going to be in Judaism too, because her stepdad who
Yeah.
was her dad, but she didn't even know until she was a teen. I don't know. It's they're just trying to
Yeah,
they
I
wanna
mean, well,
promote something, and they wanna promote something, and I'm not gonna hate on them for promoting that particular religion, considering everything that's happened in the world over the last few years with it and all the rampant anti-Semitism in the elite, particularly the elite progressive left, and even in Hollywood. So, I'm not gonna disparage it too much for them trying to fit that in where they could.
yeah, no, and I'm not really mad about it, especially with everything that's been going on, like you said, with the Jewish religion lately. There is one other thing that I definitely wanted to touch on, because it sounds like Bug absolutely killed it, which again is no surprise since his parents are from Krypton. Nobody
I know, he's just kind of freaking out because he has these callbacks tomorrow, which are not for things that he'd already, like, prepared and rehearsed, but the thing was their initial audition, they couldn't use any, they couldn't read off a script or read sheet music or anything like that, and he had to perform a song, and, for the second audition, for the callbacks, they are gonna be allowed because she's giving them material that she wants to now see that they haven't previously prepared, so I was like, "You get to read it," and he can do sheet music for basic stuff, he's in band. So I'm like, "You'll be fine." But yeah, just that so it's the Little Mermaid Junior musical, and they do Junior because, when Disney licenses this stuff, they have youth programs and they have, youth content that is, not that Little Mermaid needs to be tailored to a younger audience, but it does include like, some of the jokes that might hit with like a community theater crowd or a high school and older crowd, may not work as well with youth. The plays a little shorter. The songs, they just kind of the way they do them all is to make it more palatable for like 4th through 8th graders. So really like youth theater. And so he had auditioned for Sebastian. That's the one he really wanted to do. And they could only they could be open to any role, but they had to audition with one particular song. They got to choose it, so that's why he chose that one. So it was kind of disappointing that he didn't get called back for Sebastian. And I was like, "Well, whoa, whoa, buddy! Like, you're getting called back for other roles she didn't already see. She saw you do Sebastian. She doesn't need to see that again. So that doesn't mean you can't be cast as that." But the fact that she wants to see you do Prince Eric and King Triton is pretty cool,
Yeah,
pretty
that's pretty damn
crazy,
cool. That's pretty damn cool.
particularly Prince Eric. So yeah, he's having his first experience with callbacks, which is over, and like his initial audition was 5 minutes. Now he's going to be in the room for the better part of 45 minutes tomorrow, reading through multiple lines with different people and singing a couple different songs. So it's a whole new experience for him. We're really proud of him, and it's very, very cool. I'm very glad that he's carrying on the family tradition of performing arts. And then also like, we always were like, you're academically good, you're athletically good, and you're performing arts good. And so he's doing all those things. He's doing really well academically, and obviously he's a little sports freak, particularly baseball, and that's his main focus, but he wanted to try this, and so it's been awesome.
So, not to put too fine a point on it, but you're saying this for him is a whole new world.
It is because even at home, like, we sing all the time. He does, and he has good pitch, and he can carry a tune, but he's never been like, "Oh, I want to sing that song." Like, but he wanted to try theater. He's had a lot of fun with it. And so when the musical thing came up, he was nervous about singing. And I was like, "Well, if you do Sebastian, then you can just kind of play a character." And he liked that idea that he could be like, "Under the sea." And he's not really having like just sit there and sing a song and be judged for it. So he did all these movements. He kind of choreographed it, did this whole thing. So anyways, it's been fun to watch him. And I was encouraging this, but I was not demanding it. He really, once he got into theater in the fall, he was like, "Mom, I'm in it for the spring too, right?" And then he was like, "We're doing a musical. Is it going to mess up baseball?" And I was like, "We will make it work." So he wanted to try out. This is really driven by him. I didn't have to strong arm him too much, thankfully. Because I think it's good for all kids to get these kinds of experiences and to be really well-rounded and to have dip your toe in different things and see what you like. I mean, my brother didn't pick up a guitar until he was 17 years old when he got cut from the baseball team his junior year of high school. And he's living in Nashville as a singer-songwriter. Like, that's his living.
which is awesome. Sorry,
You know,
Jeff.
he toured in Texas with his band. He was, had his own residencies and everything in Fort Worth in the Stockyards for years and hosted so many others. And he was the guy to go to get your gig, and decided to go take the jump to Nashville. And he's been there. And I mean, he literally didn't pick up a guitar until he was 17. Now, he did do theater in middle school and high school. So he always did that even while he was doing sports. But, you just never know what you might end up liking. And just because you didn't do it since you were 5 years old doesn't mean you might not be really good at it.
You got to read the chat. I'm not saying it on air. You got to read the chat.
Baby, it's better down low. It's wetter. Take it from me. I know it's not youth friendly. Well, they weren't thinking about that at the time. But I will say, when he did that part of it, he put his hands and he crouched down and did them like on the floor, like the sand, made it very clear. I didn't even give him that note, but he said, "Baby, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me." And he did it like he was like moving the sand on the floor. Yeah. Anyways,
it's because of his parents. I heard.
Well, I just don't, he's already got friends that are dialing in to like being very myopic about one thing. And even if it's something that is artistic, and I don't know, we were just encouraged to do so much more. And we've all ended up so much better for it in so many different ways in life. And I think all kids should, obviously there's going to be things they're going to try and not like, and that's okay. And they're not going to gravitate toward it. Not every kid should be on a stage, but maybe they want to do science fairs or the robotics tournaments and things like that. I mean, there's just so many things that I think it's just so, it benefits them so much to try a lot. And I'm very grateful that his middle school, the principal, that's his big thing. I want them to try everything, and we will accommodate. If they are in band and in cheerleading, we will work it out. We will make the schedules work. If they are in the musical and they're on the track team, we will work it out. Unless there's some sort of major, like, no way can do conflict. They want the kids to this is the time to try. You're like 11 to 14 years old. You don't have very many other opportunities in life when you get to do all of that. And you're encouraged to. So live it up, get well-rounded, figure out what you like and don't like, and make new friends in different spaces. I think there's nothing better than that.
No, I mean, it's absolutely awesome. I mean, like most of the stuff that I do now, I didn't even find until I was much, much later in life. I'd always kind of had a creative bent, but I never really knew what to do with it. And technology's made a lot of things that I've always wanted to do more possible.
Well, it makes for more like diverse experiences with people too. Like, everybody always talks about like diversity, but I think what's more important than diversity of like, very specific stat sets, how many Black friends do you have, how many Indian people have you been around, how many this, how many that. What's more important is like the kind of like what's behind everything. So if you can be, in math club, but also in theater, but also on the basketball team, you're going to be exposed to a lot of different groups of people, a lot of different kind of teachers and coaches who come from different backgrounds, have different interests, have different ways of communicating, all of that. That's just going to better equip you for the future. And you'll have those little pockets of like safe spaces. And I don't like to use that in the liberal sense. I just mean in the like, oh, these are my people that get me about this. And these are my people that get me about that. And it's cool that I have separate friend groups like that I can go to for different reasons. And I still have that. I have that all over the place. I've got, my more performing arts friends that I grew up that like totally understand me from that side, and many that I made along the way over the years. Some of them still live all over the country or performing in New York, all of that. And then I've got my political friends, and I mean the ones that aren't even just on Twitter. I've got y'all, I've got the KLRN group. And then I've got people I went to school with, and I've got people I went to college with, and people that I actually majored with that are separate from my other college friends. I mean, all of these things can be, and I've got, I think that helps people to not get locked into some sort of bubble to where they then can be brainwashed, to where they can be indoctrinated to such an extreme extent as we are seeing. I think the more diverse you are in your activities and the people that you're around, and switching up those groups and being able to be in multiple different spaces and not only thrive, not only adapt, but thrive, helps to keep you from getting locked into a certain mindset and get that mind virus setting in to where then you are completely incapable of understanding other people's experiences and being able to to have critical thought. So I think that's just as much as important for the growing brain as it is to, study certain things in school.
Sorry, I was reading through something because apparently Hercules chose violence this morning, but it looks like it may have been a stolen tweet from somebody else though too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I guess everybody's making a big deal about Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame. So I guess Super 70 Sports sometime yesterday afternoon posted out that Belichick waited 49 years for his girlfriend to be born. The Hall of Fame will be a piece of cake for him. So then Kevin Sorbo, 14 hours later, not knowing whether he actually saw the original or not, Bill Belichick waited 49 years for his girlfriend to be born. He can wait one more year for the Hall of Fame. So, having been in a situation where I've had similar tweets as other people that I found out from, well, they said this a day before you did. Well, that's awesome, but I didn't see them say that, so I don't know whether.
Yeah. I've had actual like word for word stuff copied where it's too obvious, like that can't both be said. What he just said, I can see multiple people saying.
Yeah.
I can see multiple people having that same but I've said a few things that are like multiple sentences long using very specific, vocabulary that like, no way did you come up with that the same as me 30 minutes later and you're an account that has 80 million followers. Sorry, Zero Hedge, you didn't come up with that. You stole it from me.
Oh, look at you.
I mean, I'm just saying maybe someone like Zero Hedge. I don't know if it's actually them.
No, not at all. No,
but they did do that to me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ex-girlfriend. I saw the reports that it is being reported that they broke up.
Nice.
It has not been verified, but I saw reports.
I mean, just saying.
She's like, bitch, you ain't getting the Hall of Fame? Your ass is gone. You already bought me a house. You already bought me my Escalade. Fuck with you.
Yep. Nope. You gave me everything I wanted. You got to go. All right. Normally, we would have been done well before now, but BZ's out tonight because I guess he is feeling under the weather, so he's going to do a makeup show on Saturday. But I do have some other things I need to get finished before I can actually get ready for bed. So where can folks find you, ma'am? Or do you have any?
I know. I would have been fine to be done at 10, but I'm glad we got to go long since it's been a while since we've been together and there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, everybody find me on Twitter, mostly X, at J Homestead. I'm that on pretty much every platform if I'm there, which I'm mostly just on X as far as how much I participate. And then we will be kicking off a Misfit Mischief again tomorrow. We've had a little bit of a holiday hiatus, and we are going to start it back up. So look for that.
Nice. Well, if we combine all three feeds, we would actually be number 2 on Live on X right now. Actually, almost number 1. But anyway,
very cool.
Since it's split up, we don't look as special because it's split up.
Well, but I still feel like that's okay because we get a lot of reach.
This is true. Which lately, I don't know what X has done, but lately it's been kind of so I've been trying to get everybody to start subscribing to the YouTube channel and see if we can build up over there because the Behind Enemy Lines and SHR have absolutely blown up their YouTube channels lately. At the same time, I'm kind of like, they bring a lot of trolls into their stuff, and I don't know how much I really want to mess with that, but the numbers look really cool when you're done with the broadcast and it shows 7,000 people were watching.
Sure.
I was like, I would take a few of those numbers. But anyway. All right. So as far as for me, tomorrow, Rick Robinson, noon to 2 Eastern time. The Weekend News Roundup, 3 to 4 Eastern time. Back with Aggie Rican, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, doing He Said, She Said. But then I don't have anything to do on Saturday other than probably try to write. So 3 shows in one day because I'm insane. And then Sunday back doing Kingdom and Country. That is 10 p.m. Eastern. Monday Night America Off the Rails, 10 p.m. Eastern. And also Remember, new schedule for the Rick Robinson Show, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon. And then for everything else, just check our schedule, because otherwise I'll be here for another 10 minutes telling you everything I do. You can find me at RowdyRick73. You can also find me as an occasional contributor to MisfitsPolitics.com, TheLoftusParty.com, as well as Twitchy.com. And I also produce the Loftus Party podcast, which usually drops on Tuesdays. But that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a minute, so thank you for those of you that found your way into the chat. Some of you were like, we didn't even know y'all were doing a show tonight. I'm like, we didn't either till like an hour ago. So
yeah, my bad. We didn't promote it.
But anyway, thank
you. We just
you,
hopped on for a chat, and we're glad we did.
It's just, that's how we roll, man. That's how we roll. Exactly. Sometimes you just got to pay attention to what pops up on your feed. See everybody later. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye.
Peace.